Good evening. A newsworthy border conflict between two Indian states, Assam and Mizoram. It's not a new conflict, but as usual, it has captured New Delhi and the media's attention because things have gone wrong. My name is Anubha Bhonsle, and we're breaking down what's happening between Assam and Mizoram and why, leaning on some excellent questions you've sent us as we unpack this story. Let's start with a quick recap. On Monday, the police of both states clashed between Lailapur in Assam and Vairangate in Mizoram. 6 Assam police personnel and 1 civilian died. At least 50 other people were injured. It is one of the deadliest flare-ups in border tensions between the two states. Now, what was the provocation that two police forces fired at each other? It is also NK Seema's question. Seema, Mizoram's version, 200 members of the Assam police crossed the border, overran duty posts manned by the Mizoram police. They allegedly damaged vehicles, used tear gas, lathis, and started firing. That's when Mizoram police retaliated by opening fire. Now, Assam's version, the provocation has been a road construction on the Assam-Mizoram border that is or was destroying parts of the reserved forest area which fall in Assam. They say on Monday, when Assam police officials went to the disputed area, miscreants from the Mizoram side allegedly attacked them, visibly supported by the Mizoram police. I hope this partly answers your question as well, Rahul Burman. He had asked whether the Assam police personnel were killed by police of another state or somebody else. Well, Rahul, it's actually hard to say for certain given how chaotic the situation was. Both sides, as you've heard, have accused each other of opening fire first. But remember, civilians were present at the spot and some of them were reportedly armed. The Assam police have filed an FIR with murder charges against the Mizoram police and some persons who opened fire. Now, the long history of the border conflict between the two states is of great interest to many of you. There have been questions from Gaur Vidhi and Sritaran Sweta. 3 dates are absolutely crucial. One is 1875, the British separated Lushai Hills, now Mizoram, from the Kachar Kingdom, now in Assam, in consultation with tribal chiefs. 1933, another line gets added to the map to separate Lushai Hills, Kachar, and the former princely state of Manipur. Assam accepts the 1933 line as the border. Mizoram sees the 1875 line as its border. Now, Assam, in very simple terms, is the common strand that connects this dispute and many other land and border disputes in the northeast. After India's independence, several union territories and states were carved out of Assam. Why? Well, for multiple reasons. The border with China, growing insurgencies in the region, and fulfilling aspirations of the many ethnic communities in this region. Also the hope that you'll be able to integrate these states with the so-called mainland India. So Arunachal Pradesh Union Territory in 72, state in 87. Statehood for Nagaland 1963. For Meghalaya 1972. For Mizoram 1987. Roughly all of this can be seen as steps to accommodate the territorial aspirations of the Nagas, the Khasis, the Garos, and the Mizos. But remember, granting statehood addresses demands for a separate political identity, but it's important to understand that many of these states were actually hurriedly carved out without paying much attention to tribal realities on the ground. Many freshly created state boundaries actually did not conform to ethnic tribal distributions. No mechanism was created to allow states to address these disputes. Boundary disputes, in a sense, were always left for a resolution to a later date. So they continued, festered, perpetuated. 2 commissions failed to resolve a border dispute between Assam and Nagaland. Now, states have often opposed third-party interventions But remember, they've also been reluctant to talk to each other. Ethnic rivalry is extremely strong. Mizoram first raised the issue we are talking about today in 1987 when it gained statehood. The first clash between the two states was in 1994, same spot. Arun Philip asks, so why now? What is specific to this clash? Well, about 1,318 square kilometers of reserved forest land between these two states. Right now, a part of this forest is in Mizoram and another part is in Assam. Mizoram claims ownership of the entire reserve forest. Assam disagrees. Assam carried out an eviction drive, so to speak, in October of last year. It drove out farmers from Mizoram, destroyed crops allegedly. Residents from both states at that point in time blocked key highways for days. It took the center 3 weeks to wake up to the situation. They deputed personnel of the paramilitary CRPF. It is standard practice, CRPF, and then forget all about the issue, often refer to the historical nature of the dispute and occasional violence in disputed areas or disturbed areas. By the way, also the official response this time. Abhishek explores and Reactor 44 to answer your question about the Home Ministry's response. Well, yesterday, the two states were called by the Home Ministry. No violence has taken place since this truce, though road and rail traffic is still blocked from Assam's side, according to the Indian Express. It is important to note that all of this took place nearly 2 days after the Home Minister met with chief ministers of northeastern states on many issues, but ironically also on interstate border disputes. Now, the visit was covered by the legacy media, but with absolutely no context of the unease in the region. Science at 60 asks, why are land border conflicts so endemic to the northeast of our country? Well, that's a great question. Partly, as we said, the circumstances of those times when these states were carved, the hurried nature that I mentioned, without talking to tribal communities, without ensuring that state borders were aligning with sort of ethnic boundaries, ethnic aspirations, without creating mechanisms for any kind of dispute resolution in a cohesive, structured way. Now, one of the world's oldest insurgencies, India with the NSE and IM, is still going on. A Naga peace deal has remained stuck despite there being a framework agreement signed in 2015. But that's not all. Much of this region beyond the chicken's neck is terra incognita. It's blank. It's blank for successive governments. In Delhi, it has been blank for the media. It has been blank for the average citizen. It is blank in our textbooks, in our national consciousness, in our effort to really understand diversity and ethnicity, which is why you'll often hear people say only insurgents die in the Northeast, insurgencies never. I'll stop here. Do share this video with your friends, groups, and family if this has been worthy. It's also on YouTube. And remember, if all of this has been worthwhile, and we know so many of you want us to do more work from India's Northeast, we'll strive to do that, to try and make a contribution. The link for that is in the bio or in the description, depending on where you're watching it. We'll see you again very soon.